Hello, everybody. My name is Eunbi Lee, and I am a person here with the poop hat in the picture, as you can see. I'm with Public Health Seattle and King County, and I'm working as an education and outreach coordinator, aka community engagement specialist for the um, uh, on-site sewage system program. Another word, septic system. Within this program, I'm also working on the pollution identification and correction program, which we call as PIC for Poverty Bay and Vashon Maury Island. Poverty Bay is in South King County and a stretch along the west corridor of I-5, along north of Federal Way and most of Des Moines and some SeaTac and Kent area. I am here to present some of my work as an example that I would like to share on our pursuit of equity and community engagement. And I'm here to also learn from you, from your experiences that you might be enlightened to share while you are hearing what we have been doing as well. So yeah, and thank you for inviting me to this wonderful talk. Before we start, I would like to imagine a scene where you are engaging with the community. When you are thinking about yourself going out in public and then sharing what you are doing, who is there and where are you and who are you talking to? Are you talking to students? Are you talking to elders? Are you talking to school people? Or who are you talking to? And I'll just pause there for 5 seconds and let you mingle in that thought. Cool. And lastly, I would like to ask you, in that picture that you just drew in your mind, who is not there? To answer that question, in the engagement work, in the PIC program, we have developed what is called PIC community engagement protocol or guide. And in that engagement guide, I separated the engagement phases into 3. One is a broad PIC announcement phase where everybody is targeted to understand what we are doing in terms of environmental work and why we are doing that. And after that phase is done, we move on to the needs assessment phase where we are understanding what the needs and lacking points of the community is and what they want their community to transform into. And lastly, in the implementation phases there where we are working closely with the community members, organizations to actually deliver some of the messages and work that we develop together. Those 3 phases can be understood in different perspectives. If you see the left side of the column, their audience, purpose, and inclusive practices as examples. And in the initial phase, general public and overall, like just anybody that you would encounter on the street would be targeted. And for this, some of the inclusive practices we try to make sure to include is translation or transcreation of materials so that we are including as many people with different language backgrounds within this phase. Since this is an announcement phase, we try to make it as inclusive as possible because we don't want to let anybody sort of like left behind. So we try to include the translation as much as possible. And for the needs assessment phase, we try to select and connect with specific organizations or leaders who are already doing some of these work. And we during this phase, we try to make sure that compensation is included. I was actually surprised that some of the work is kind of asked for free for community members, because it seems like we are doing something for them, but actually they are doing the work for us. So we try to make sure that compensation is very much included and emphasized in this phase. And from this phase, it is very much naturally sort of connected to the implementation phase, where we have focus group or a community that is naturally formed to do some of the work that we are doing together. And the focus of this is that we delegate power to the leading groups about delivering the messages, so that the audiences, including general public, can receive the message with more trust and confidence. I'm going to share some of the desktop analysis that we do to make sure that we are doing our homework to understand the demographics and characteristics of the group that we're going to talk about. For the OSS program, we are taking the CDC's Social Vulnerability Index as a guide to understand the demographics. And here is the here is the CDC index that is divided into quintiles, and we understand how many of them are experiencing old OSS or septic systems, so that they can be the focus, and what kind of demographic characteristics that they have. And in CDC social and vulnerable index, I think many of you might be already familiar with this, but it does take consideration of language minority groups, transportation, house composition, and many other factors that are averaged to score certain areas within this quintile index. So it helps us to understand where we would like to prioritize our resources to. Kind of digging into that was the whole King County earlier, but this map, these maps show just the Poverty Bay area where our PIC program is focused. And for this, we are also using the same CDC Social Vulnerability Index to understand where we would like to go out and talk to people more. Interestingly, on the first 4 and the first 5 maps that you will see from the left are involved in this Social Vulnerability Index, but the right 2 maps are showing the top languages of each city, and also whether certain areas have limited internet access, because nowadays a lot of communication from government is going online. So we want to make sure that this is the most efficient and effective method of communication. And apparently it is not in some of the areas that you see with dark purple here, where there's limited internet access. Some of the equitable practices in decision making is in practice with septic program. We are experiencing some transition with code, and this code is going to impact everyone who is going to have the septic system. And we want to make sure that we are hearing community voices. And for that, a request for proposal is being prepared to include the community's voices in the upcoming OSS code revision. And this is in place right now, and we're hoping to get this done so that our consulting group can hear community voice that can impact the decision-making table. The other part is that, sorry, I'm going to move this. There are lots of septic systems, but septic systems should be or are recommended to be moving toward connecting to the sewer, public sewer, and there are lots of rebates or financial assistance for this to happen, but those are still limited resources. So we want to prioritize who is going to get the resources first. In order to do that, we have launched and hired a person who is in charge of equitable wastewater futures. And this project is to understand that, understand how we are distributing our resources to historically excluded areas, such as through redlining in the past in Seattle and other areas that has always been underrepresented. So yeah, this is another practice that we're doing to make sure that we have equity starting from planning phase. Oops, sorry. And while we are doing the work, of course, we are, as a regulator, we do encourage and we do have to talk to people about some uncomfortable areas of having to be compliant to our code. And that's the state code and county code that people have to comply with. And to do that, we try to make sure that this process is inclusive of everyone, everyone regardless of their language backgrounds or racial backgrounds or income disparity. So to make sure we give enough resources and time, we go through several different phases that start with general letter, introducing about the project, and then giving the community the status update, and then inspection requirement kind of announcing letter. And then after that, we enter the notice of violation, notice and order, and civil penalty of more strict enforcement processes. So these are all included in our practices for enforcing for various reasons of septic code compliance. And other than this, other than the enforcement processes, we also try to make sure that we have resources available in different languages as well, including like questions to professionals or cover letters that are translated in different languages, because a lot of times inspectors would give out letters of these enforcement, but people wouldn't have the capacity to understand what's going on, so they might miss the date or miss the deadline to comply with the code. And in between these more enforced enforcement, we try to give 75 days, 30 days, and 45 days of interval so that they have time to comply with it. And communication-wise, we are using the social media channel a lot, and we try to include different languages. This was a project for the poverty-based septic rebate program, and we devised a video by interviewing different community members, and we have received quite a lot of views and likes through this project, as it was inclusive of different languages. And as I said earlier, in the implementation phase of community engagement, we try to work with the community organizations by contracting with them. And that is to delegate the power to them so that they can talk to the community members directly. And on the picture on the bottom, you can see that the Latinx community serving organization called Muera Volante in Federal Way gave out this developed material about pet waste and clean water in in Poverty Bay, and kind of had an open house to do a discussion with the panels as well. So it was all done in Spanish, and there was no translator that translated their language to English because all the participants were Latinx or Latinx born people. We have contracted with Mother Africa for the African serving community, and we have partnership with Korean Women's Association for Korean communities in Federal Way. Equity and communication goes to different age groups. We have done an internship with Department of Natural Resources in the past, and we have reached out to senior groups so that they can share their messages to the family. And that is all I have prepared for today. Sorry, I sort of like passed through a lot of things, but I hope you have some ideas and some questions that you would like to ask. Thank you very much.